This video is to show you in detail how to use Google Fonts in your web pages for the web design class. The first thing that you probably want to do is try to figure out what kind of fonts would you like to use. Now what I've done is I've made a little list here. I've chosen some basic ideas for my title, subtitle, buttons, and text in my web page. For my title, my main title, I'd like a thick or wide display font, something that has character, something that's interesting, something that's very dark. For the subtitle, and possibly for things like the copyright, I'd like something that's more thin and condensed, a sans serif font, which is much more simple. For the buttons, I'd like normal sans serif being a very plain type of text, very easy to read. But for the main text, I'd like a nice serif font. Serif fonts generally are more pleasant to read than our sans serif. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Google Fonts page. So the address for that is google.com/fonts. This ending sharp sign hashtag is not necessary. You can see that it leads to the exact same page. So here's a Google Fonts page. So the first thing I want to look for is a nice thick, wide display font. Display fonts are usually used for poster titles and things like that. So I'm going to go over here to the left side of the Google Fonts page. And the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of everything except display. And I'm going to say OK. Now, thickness for me is more important than width. Width means actually the letters are wider. They look more squat. But thickness actually is more of what I want. So if I go to thickness and I say that I want fonts that are more thick, you can just slide it and get thicker and thicker and thicker ones. That's a little too thick. I thought I saw a good one here. The Bevon looks good. So I can go through here. Now I'm just looking at the thick ones. And so I have a very nice set of choices here. And I think I will go for the Bevon. So I'm going to add that to my collection. So I'm going to click there. And now that I've added it to my collection, I can see it down here. It says Bevon. And now I can go on and look for my next font. So I'm going to reset the search. Going to click down here, reset all filters and search. And next I'm going to look for sans serif fonts. First I'm going to look for a thin, condensed one. And then for a normal one, I might as well start with a normal one first. So let's, again, filter through category. Let's go for only sans serif. You can see that sans serif are very plain fonts. They don't have the little serifs on the end. And so I'm just going to look at these, and I want something that's more round, kind of more circular. Lotto looks like a good one. Let's see. Montserrat might be good, although it's a little bit too sans serif. I don't like the G there so much. So a lot of these look good, but I think I had a good one up at the top. I think Lotto is a good one for the button, so I'm going to add that to my collection too. It's also got a lot of styles I can choose from, so that's nice. So I'm going to add that. So now you can see that I've got Bevon and Lotto. Let's see. Now I'm going to go for a thin sans serif font. So I'm going to go for thickness and go for something that's thin. Also maybe something that's not very wide. Let's go for something that's narrower. And now I've got some nice choices here, something that's thin and narrow. I don't have too many choices. I've only got 5 font families left now. But I can keep on checking, and let's see, that doesn't work. Let's see over here. Here we go. Work Sans is there. I'd like something narrower rather than thinner. So let's check over here. How can I... So I'm just searching. I haven't done this before, so I'm just checking out what's possible. There we go. So News Cycle isn't bad. Let's see. Maybe Pregati Nero. That looks actually pretty good. Let's see. It's got 2 styles. If I want to see the styles, I can click here. So we've got something that's thin and not so thin. Let's see. News Cycle has also got 2 styles, so it looks like that. So I'm kind of caught between News Cycle and Pregati Nero. Let me go for Pregati. I think that looks a little bit better. I'm going to add that to my collection. Okay, then for the text, I want a nice serif font. So I'm going to again reset my search, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to select only serif. So get rid of all the others. And now I've got my serif fonts. So now I want to see something that looks good in paragraphs. Now, one of the things you can do here is that you can look not just in sentence, but you can also see what the paragraph looks like. So if I do this, I can have a much better sense of what the whole paragraph will look like when it's at 12-point text. In this case, 13-point text, I guess. So I saw a nice one up here. This one seems nice. This is Laura. I like that one. Let's see. Not so much. Yeah, that's a little bit too thin. PT Serif. That's not bad, but it's a little bit tall. Playfair Display. That's too thick. So I could do this a lot more, but I kind of like Laura, the one that was near the top. So here's Laura, and I'm going to add that, and that's going to be my last font. So now I've got my 4 fonts here, Bevan, Lotto, Pregati Nero, and Laura. So now I'm going to use. I could review if I wanted to. If I review, then you can see it gives me the sense of all of them here together. I can make them headline or paragraph and see what they look like there. And that's kind of what I'm looking for right there. I think Lotto is for the button, so I'm going to look at that in headline form as well. As a matter of fact, I think Lotto would be better for the subtitle than Pregati Nero. So I might just, as a matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get rid of Pregati Nero. So there we go. So I'm going to use Bevan for the title, Lotto for the subtitle and the buttons, and then Laura for the paragraph text. All right, so now I've got 3. Okay, that helped me decide. So now I'm going to go over here to the right at the bottom, and I'm going to click Use. All right, so here I get to choose the thicknesses. So I'm probably going to take everything under Laura. And Lotto, I think I'll just go with the lighter ones and not with the italic. And I think that would probably work. Well, I'll go for bold because I might want something bold for the buttons. Okay, so there I go. Bevan, there's only one choice. So that's your first thing. Select what styles you want. Next, I'm going to want to get the code. So on step number 2, you can just ignore that one. That's not a big deal. But this one, add this code to your website. This is absolutely necessary. Remember, all you do is click once and it'll select the whole thing. Also remember, you must have this at the top of every single web page that you have. So not just the index, but every page you should have these fonts. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to bring it over to my Komodo Edit. I have a page here, right here, called Lorem Ipsum. You can see the page right here. That's what it looks like. And so this should go in the head. I usually put it before the style. So after the meta, I make a new line and I paste. And so now that I've done that, my page can access the fonts. Okay, so you do the link, and then the final step is to get the font families. So you can only get these one at a time. So you might want to copy, and then you might want to put them into a holding place so that you can always have them available. Let me get Lotto. I'm going to paste it here, and then I'm going to get the one for Laura, and I'm going to paste that. So you might want to have these available because you'll probably be using them several times. But these are the 3 fonts that I got, and these are the CSS declarations, the font family declarations. So whenever I want to use these fonts, I can just use one of these declarations. So I'm going to now go into Komodo Edit, and I'm going to start doing exactly that. I'm going to use these fonts. So I'm going to begin by creating an H1 style, and I'm going to put the Bevan there, because that's what I chose for the title. So there's Bevan. It'll keep the original font size, which I believe is 24 point, unless I change it. I can change that later. I'm going to create an H2 rule, and that's going to have the Lotto, and I believe that other things will have that as well. The Lotto will also be for the buttons, so I'm going to put that there. And then also I'm going to put it in the footer. Let's see, so the footer P, or the paragraph that's in the footer, will have Lotto. And then Laura will go in the paragraphs in the main, or I might just put it generally in the main altogether. So just in the main, because I might want it in the block quote as well. If I wanted to, I could just put, for example, P comma block quote. That means that it's the paragraph and the block quote. If you have a comma in there, it's addition. but I might want it in lists as well, so I'm going to say just say main. So anything in the main should have that font, Laura. Okay, so let's see how my page is affected now. So now I'm going to go back to my page, and I'm going to reload, and baboom, there we go. So let's see, it looks like, oh, I think I know what my problem is. In my footer, I didn't put a paragraph. So that's bad of me. I should do a paragraph there, and there's my footer. Okay, so now you can see I've got the copyright in Lotto. This is Bevan, this is Lotto and Lotto again, and this is Laura right here. So that's how you put Google Fonts inside your page. Now there's one other thing that you can do. For example, for the buttons, I want these to be thicker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the ULLI, and after the font family, I'm going to say, let's see, font width, I'm sorry, not width, weight, font weight, and I'm going to put this, you can put it at bold, or you can put it at 700. Those mean exactly the same thing. Normal font size is 400, 100 is very light, 700 is bold, and then 900 is heavy. So I'm going to put 700. And let's see how that affects my links here. And there we go. They got a little bit bolder. Okay. I can also try to get it thinner for the H2. So I can say font weight, and let's put it at let's put it at 100. See what happens. I think I have a 100. And now, did I save that? Yes, I did. Now go back over here, and this should change, and there it is. So now I've got a much thinner font right there. So I'd probably want to fool with the margins to get these two things closer together, stuff like that. But that's the kind of thing that you can do with fonts using the Google Fonts web page. If you have any questions, please ask, and we can arrange a meeting or we can talk about it in class. All right.